Beautiful and wonderful way to start this evening. I want to thank the violinist, Moriani, and the pianist, Ilya Sinaisky, for this lovely performance of Beethoven's Violin Sonata number 8, Opus 30, Chapter 1. I shall introduce you to Mo and Ilya a little later. Chairman Emeritus of the Board of Governors, Professor Alfred Tauber, Fred. Chairman of the Board of Governors, Bradley Bloom. President, Professor Ron Robin, Rector, Professor Gustavo Mesh, former Mayor of Haifa, Yona Yahav, faculty members, friends, ladies and gentlemen, my name is David Rowe, and I'm a professor at the Department of Community Mental Health. We are gathered here this evening to honor a special man, a man I've come to admire over time. Fred, our paths first crossed 13 years ago when you opened the Laszlo and Tauber Family Foundation in Israel. At the same time, the Department of Community Mental Health had started and was established, and I served as department chair. We both have our personal stories, which are powerful driving forces for our mutual broad goal to develop and pursue ways to improve the quality of life and opportunities for people with mental illness. In your cautious way, you started out funding a practicum, and over the years expanded your support to additional projects, including a randomized control trial to study the impact of a new case management service, scholarships for PhD students, 4 of them who are presenting their findings next weekend at an international conference in Lisbon, Portugal, a service and study for first episode psychosis, and of course, the National Outcome Project, which has been presented on many stages around the world, including at the OECD in Paris. There's plenty of hard evidence showing that the accumulative impact of these projects, which have been made possible thanks to you, Fred, have advanced our shared goal of improving the quality of life with people with mental illness through service, research, and policy. They are a little tikkun olam, which have made the world a slightly better place. This is not to say that it was always fun or easy. During the last 13 years, I've had the opportunity to spend time with you, Fred, and experience firsthand your sharp thinking and open and creative mind, guiding ethics, vision, and generosity, as well as your insistence on the highest academic standards. Yet even though you can be quite demanding, tough, and even harsh, not to mention impatient at times, it was always within a serious and thoughtful context of your dedicated involvement and caring. On behalf of the staff, students, and graduates of the Department of Community Mental Health, and the literally hundreds of colleagues who worked with us on these projects, several of whom are here with us tonight, and numerous number who have benefited from them, from these projects, I want to express my deepest gratitude and appreciation. My personal feelings and reflections are only a glimpse of all that you have given to the university and to the State of Israel. The distinguished individuals who are speaking here this evening will no doubt touch on the full magnitude of your generosity and your time. Now I have the great pleasure of inviting our president, Professor Ron Robin, to the podium.
Hello everyone, good evening. I have a little confession to make. I'm slightly drunk, and I may say some things I'll regret in the morning, but nevertheless I'll move forward. So here's my first, it's a confession. Many of you think of me as the architect of the multiversity. That is absolutely wrong. I am merely a front and a mouthpiece for an idea that Fred invented before I came to the university. Moving off campus was Fred's idea. It wasn't my idea. Some of you know it, I can see. Jonas is there on the front right, and he knows the truth. Yeah, that was Fred's idea. The idea of embedding ourselves in the community, the idea of spreading our wings and becoming agents of change. That came, of course, from Fred. Because Fred actually is the embodiment of the multiversity. Anybody who knows Fred knows that he is a Renaissance scholar. Fred is, of course, first and foremost, probably a physician, more than anything else, or a great medical scholar. But his insights into Freud, which, by the way, are unnerving to say the least. Every time he talks to me, I'm wondering whether I'm being psychoanalyzed at the same time. But Fred is also has incredible knowledge of philosophy. He embodies the multiversity, the very idea that we would like our students to understand, to gain insights from, and we'd like our faculty to be on those lines as well. Fred is also the reason I came back. I don't think I would have left the Sir HaBasal of NYU without Fred. It would not have happened. He got me excited about coming back. He got me excited about building, turning a wonderful university into a great university. This came from Fred. There are days, Fred, when I rue the day we actually spoke about this, but for the most part, I can say that you've changed my life, as you have changed many other people's lives, as David mentioned a moment ago, and I'm eternally grateful for this. And as we move on, and we become a multiversity, we should never forget who is the man behind this. It was Fred. Thank you, Fred, for pushing us harder, for making us think of ourselves that we can be better, and we should be better. None of this would have been possible without your generosity. I take this opportunity of thanking your better half as well, Paula, who I've met just for the first time today. And who I've heard often in the background on the phone giving you advice of what to say to me. It is wonderful to meet you, Paula, and thank you very much for coming tonight. I think I speak here for the entire faculty. I think I speak here for the entire Board of Governors, everyone who's here in the room. We thank you for making us a better place. Brad, you have huge shoes to fill. We love you, but I'm just warning you. You have huge shoes to fill, and I'm sure Fred will be by our side and will help us to move forward as we move forward. So, thank you, Fred. For the first time in my life, I think words fail me, and I'll just say thank you at this point.
Thank you, President Robin. I now have the privilege of inviting the former mayor of Haifa and a great friend of the University of Haifa. As mayor, Mr. Yona Yahav was a devoted and dedicated partner to the university. He had his full and blessed support. Please come up, Yona.
It's true, I supported the university, but I never gave up the taxes. Alfred, I want to confess. First of all, I'm not drunk. But I want to confess that I'm deeply in love with Alfred. But I'm not the only one. If you had known how many people in Haifa love you, I'm sure that in the last local elections you would have run and been elected. And this is not a laugh. It's a fact. I think that I feel very privileged to stand in front of you today and to speak up, because you are a special person. And many of the things you have done were already listed by the former speakers. And this is, and all of them were done in a very subtle and a smooth way. And this is the reason why people follow you and why people love you. And you did a hell of a lot. And there are two elements which you are devoted to. First of all is the multicultural population of this university and the excellence of the university. And you were asking me many times, how come that this city is the only city in the world which succeeds? It doesn't agree. Which exercises on daily basis full peace between Jews and Arabs more than 100 years. I never answered you because I don't have an intelligent answer why it is possible here. It doesn't work in Akko, 20 minutes away from here, 50 minutes away from here in Jaffa or 1.5 hours in Jerusalem. It works here more than 100 years. Recently I arrived at the conclusion, I think that I have a blink. We are lucky that 3 celebrities never came here. Moses, Muhammad, and Jesus. Nothing here is holy. We are not kissing walls. We are not getting meshige. We are normal. And I must tell you, you know, I'm the first mayor who was born here. And I graduated Leobek. Next to me, and I belong to a generation which never interviewed the parents. We didn't know anything about the parents. And we never asked our friends, who is your father, from which family you originated, are they rich, are they poor? So next to me was sitting all school, a girl which I'm still in touch with her. And when I was deputy mayor of Mitznam, the former mayor, she calls me up one day and she asked me, can the municipality clean up the Muslim cemetery in Haifa? So I'm asking her, how come a municipality is never involved in cemeteries? How come that you want us to do this? And could you tell me, what is your connection to the Muslim cemetery? She said, don't you know who I am? I said, you were sitting next to me the whole school. What's special about that? He said, don't you know that I'm the granddaughter of the first mayor, Hassan Shukri? And she had the name Amira Shukri. Amira Shukri is a Hebrew name. And I didn't know that. I said, so why do you want us to clean up the Muslim cemetery? She said, my uncle is coming from Jordan. Who is your uncle? What do you say? The head of office of King Hussein. The whole municipality cleaned up the cemetery. 3 days they worked, they cleaned up the whole cemetery. When he came, General Shukri. This is Haifa. And you got involved in it, in this atmosphere, very deeply. And by pushing so hard the university, which I advocated this tendency from the very beginning of the day I became mayor, that the name of the game is multi-campuses. Can't stay this American system that you have a fence and within the fence there is a university. When I reached the age of 30, I did it for the first time in Beersheba. I established and opened up the university in Sde Boker. It was my idea. It was a school, and we turned it to be a university. And you will see what will happen to the Haifa University because of the port campus in the downtown city. And you and President Rubin, and this is your job, and I'm going to talk about you in a minute. This is a very, very important job which is going to influence the whole setup of the city. Eternity of our people will be gained only through study, not fighting. Not fighting. I think that your successor, Brad Bloom, I know him for 15 years. Together with Mr. Adres, who is sitting here. Is Mr. Adres here? Yeah. They established the best idea ever in the Jewish field, how to make a partnership between the Jewish community and Israel and a city. And they created the partnership between Boston and Haifa. And this is a good and a very, very significant continuation to succeed Alfred. So I'm at your disposal. Now I'm working for my wife. I'm ready to work for you as well. Succeed. Fred, stay in contact. We are here. And thank you very much.
Now let me tell you a little bit about the young and very talented violinist, Mor Yani. Mor is 17 years old and a pupil at Leo Beck High School, same one you went to, Yona, here in Haifa. Has been playing the violin with great talent since he was 6 years old. He's a soloist of the Samuel Rubin Music Conservatory Chamber Orchestra and performed also as a soloist with the Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra. Accompanying him on piano is Ilya Sinaisky, who holds a PhD from the University of Maryland and teaches at the Samuel Rubin Music Conservatory, having also taught at the University of Colorado. I have the pleasure of calling Mor and Ilya to the stage to perform a third movement of Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto in E minor. Haifa. If anyone had doubts where things are happening, it's here in Haifa. We'll remember this evening for many reasons, and probably one of them that we all heard Mo when he was 17 years old. So thank you so much, Mo and Ilya. It was lovely. During the plenary session of this Board of Governors meeting, the university governors elected a new chairman. Congratulations, Mr. Bloom. We have no doubt you will serve our board with great vigor and conviction, as did Professor Tauber. I have the privilege of inviting the newly elected chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Bradley Bloom, to come to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. I think I should introduce myself a little bit. Although I've known the mayor for 15 years, and Eitan and Naomi and the other Naomi Reidinger, and some other people for 30 years, there's some things I like in the world, and there's some things I don't like. Two things I really hate doing are sitting among a whole bunch of people with PhDs. And the second is following eloquent speakers. So far, I'm 0 for 2 tonight. It's a great privilege to be here, and it's been a real a whirlwind 3 days for me, and really a whirlwind few months for me. I usually view myself as somebody who's pretty good at learning about things, even though I don't have a PhD. And so when I was approached by Fred and by Ron to succeed Fred, I asked for what I thought were all the right things: the financial statements, the plans, the Constitution, which I read 4 times, all sorts of data and details from committees and structures and everything else. But I made one mistake, one huge omission. I didn't ask for a list of the things Fred had done. Because if I had ever known all the things you had done during your years here, it's not a question of filling shoes. I'm talking about ships here. This week in particular, I find everybody I talk to, they have another story about Fred. His fingerprints are everywhere. His intellect is everywhere. The stories of how he helped people are everywhere. And obviously his generosity permeates the organization in every possible way. So it's really an extraordinary legacy, Fred, that you have left here. You've built an extraordinary foundation, starting with recruiting our beloved president, Ron Robin. And while there's much work to be done, I'm still mad about this not knowing of all the great things. So I know I can count on you to spend the next maybe at least 10 or 20 years helping us. And he has volunteered to help and support and continue. I'll certainly be looking for your advice and counsel. I agree with the mayor. As usual, the mayor has the answer. And you're right, it seemed like a logical extension of the last 30 years. Oh, you know, Haifa, I like the people, I like the university, great potential. If I had ever known all the things he had done, I would have had real second thoughts. But fortunately, I'm not that smart. Maybe someday I will be smart enough for that. But in the meantime, I hope to learn from all of you, get all of your advice and counsel and support over the years, and look forward to having many such celebrations in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. It is with great pleasure that I invite to the podium a dear and longtime friend of the university. She is the chairwoman of the German Friends of the University, a former vice chairman of the Board of Governors, a member of the Board of Governors for 25 years now, and an honorary doctorate recipient, Dr. Sonia Kandel-Einstein. Please.
Well, hello everybody. I'm the girl outside of this boys' network. A girl of a certain age, but nevertheless. And Fred, I'm sorry, I'm not drunk, and I'm not in love with you. But I'm in love with my husband still. But I still have a very personal message, and I'm a little bit, not drunk, but a little bit excited. So I would like to tell you a few things as a colleague, but also as a friend. That being something that one cannot just define by oneself. But since I had the privilege of Fred calling me a friend, I'm proud of it. So I just want to say a few words about Fred as a mensch. You all know the term originally comes from Yiddish, and it really means a person who is good, honest, and decent, and who has strength of character. So who could fit better than Fred? By the way, I have read that this term is coming out of fashion, being used less and less. There might be good reasons, but I think there are also bad reasons why it's not being used. That's another story. Today, for me, when I think of Fred, I think of a mensch. But Fred's real name, as we all know, is Alfred, a name that has also come out of fashion, so sorry to say. But your parents, Fred, probably thought it was a good and nice name for their precious boy, and I'm sure that they had or have all reason to be proud of you. So with Fred as a mensch and his name being Alfred, I would like to decline these letters as follows. So, A stands for admiration. I admire Fred for all his achievements, his steadfastness, his intellect, his commitment. L stands for loyalty. It was not difficult for me to feel and hopefully be loyal because I experienced the same from Fred. F for fairness. What a popular term, so often used and so rarely attained. It was not always only agreeable or pleasant or pleasing what Fred did and how he did it, but it was always fair. R stands for reliability. Fred is a reliable person. He has this rare quality of being able to be trusted. The basis for any kind of a good relationship, so often forgotten in our quickly changing world. Then E is for equality, a most powerful word and most powerful notion. It was easy to work with Fred because it felt good knowing that he so unconditionally stood for the values that always inspired me too, and that seemed so difficult to achieve. Equal rights and opportunities for all. The raison d'être of our university, or every just society. And finally, D stands for dashing. I think Fred is also dashing, especially with his new beard. Yes. He has style, he has humor, he's spirited and energetic, he's curious and confident of himself. This makes him a truly attractive man. So, dear Fred, this was my declination of your name and of you. All the best. Stay involved, stay the friend of all of us, especially mine. Thank you. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Sonia, for your lovely words. We have another speaker today who is very eager to speak this evening. President Emeritus of the University, Professor Aharon Ben-Zeev, holds a warm place in his heart for Fred, and it was during his presidency that Fred became involved with the university. So please, Aharon.
When you fix the microphone for me, I recall that in the testimony of Monica Lewinsky, in the proceeding against Bill Clinton, the prosecutor asked her, "May you please move the microphone a little bit away?" Okay. My very dear friend, Fred. Professor Fred Tauber and I are not merely friends, but also colleagues in somewhat similar fields. Though Fred have taken the deeper topic. He is a philosopher of science, which some of his work focus on psychiatry and Freud. I am a lighter type of philosopher. I am a philosopher of emotions, and my focus is on romantic love. To tell you the truth, I don't regret my research focus. Thus, while Fred wrote a book published by Princeton on Freud, the reluctant philosopher, I have just published a brief article in my Psychology Today blog on the topic, do you close your eyes during sex? Now, ladies, and less so, gentlemen, whose publication do you like to read more? And please, do not reply to the question of the title of my post. I want to say a few words on Fred the person. I would like even to say Fred the virtuous person. However, as Fred is also a humble person, but I will not say it, that he is a humble person, not to embarrass him. By the way, there is an interesting issue whether someone can say about himself that he is an humble person. I think the answer is positive. And actually, I wrote an article on, the title is The Virtue of Modesty, in which I tried to prove to my skeptical friend that I am modest. There is a joke about a journalist who went to wanted to meet a person who is considered to be the most humble person in the world. The journalist went to a small yeshiva in Poland. He entered a small hall, almost dark, where people study the Bible, and asked, who is the person who is considered to be the most humble person in the world? Then someone jumped in front of him and shouted, it is me, it is me. Another virtue of Fred is his vast knowledge, not only in his academic profession, but in many other realms. A kind of Renaissance person. In ancient times, philosophers often identified knowledge with virtue. I believe that this identification is problematic in many cases, but not in the case of Fred, which is so true. I would like to refer to another virtue of Fred, the virtue of keeping promises. Clinton aide once said that the president has kept all the promises he intended to keep. And the former prime minister of Israel, Levi Eshkol, said to people who asked him why he didn't keep his promises to them. And he answered, I did not promise you to keep my promises to you. Levi Eshkol created here what we may call double promising, which is especially needed when people don't trust your main promise. Fred has a habit of not promising, but just fulfilling all his good intention and deeds all the time. He is such an honest and caring about everyone and everything, and keep promoting his value and accepted moral values in general. I love you, my dear friend, Fred, though always remember that your wife loves you more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ben Zeev. At this time, we shall show a short clip prepared by the university for this evening. We hope this short tribute can demonstrate with accuracy the wonderful and warm relationship between Professor Tauber and the university. Please enjoy.
those who built Eshkol Tower, I believe, understood very clearly that they were erecting a beacon, a lighted portal to Israel. Here is the University of Haifa. Here is Haifa. Here is Haaretz. And we're now engaged in continuing to build that beacon, to build it institutionally, to build it socially, and to build it academically.
פרד ידידי והיושב ראש שלי, אני רוצה להגיד לך תודה ענקית על החזון שאותו הובלת. אתה לא ויתרת על הערכים שהופכים אותנו למי שאנחנו, גם כחברה ובעיקר כאוניברסיטה. אתה היית אחד האנשים שהובילו, אגב גם אותי, באמונה ששונות היא הסגולה אולי החשובה ביותר שיש לנו כחברה, שיש לנו כאנשים ויש לנו במיוחד כמוסד אקדמי שצריך בעצם להוביל מצוינות בהוראה ומחקר. ותודה על הידידות והתמיכה.
טאובר בשבילי הוא סוג של מנטור, ולמדתי ממנו בעיקר לא להסתכל רק על מה שטוב, אלא להסתכל על כלל התמונה ולראות מי חלש בצד ולתת לו יד. בפרד למדתי שלפעמים אוכלוסיות חלשות, אם אתה פותח להם את הדלת ללימודים אקדמיים, אתה עושה שינוי שהוא הרבה מעבר לבן אדם עצמו שקיבל הכשרה, אלא כל המשפחה מתנצל בשביל. והדבר אולי הכי חשוב שלמדתי ממנו זה לא רחוק.
אני מבקש לברך את ידידי פרופסור פרד טאובר, איש חכם, איש משכיל, איש מעשה ואיש של תרומתו שלו ושל משפחתו בכל רחבי עולם הרווחה. החיים המשותפים במדינת ישראל והעולם היהודי הם עצומים. אני ראיתי את העבודה שלך בתחום אהבת האדם, החיבור בין יהודי לערבי, ערבי ליהודי, מיעוטים ולא מיעוטים, והחברה הישראלית כולה על כל הפסיפס המגוון שלה. אני מודה לך פרד ידידי.
Fred, I'm standing in front of the Tauber building, part of a labor of love executed by you. Thank you for making the multiversity a reality.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call both Professor Ron Robin and Professor Fred Tauber to the stage for the presentation of a small token of our appreciation.
So Fred, you know those t-shirts people get, like my parents went to Greece and all I got was a lousy t-shirt?
Yeah.
After all those wonderful things you got, this is what we're giving you. And that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't.
Fantastic.
But
Look at
when it
that.
flickers on and off, you'll remember us. We flicker on and off as well, and mostly flicker on thanks to you. So thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah, Fred, please go ahead with your remarks.
Paula has a expression that she uses not infrequently. It's a very emotional time for Buttercup. That's from Princess Bride. I'm having a lot of trouble controlling myself. The sincerity that I sense, because my crap index is pretty good, is making me speechless. Usually I'm pretty good up here. I want to say a couple things. First of all, I have some talents. But one of my best talents is that I've been able to identify people whom I can trust to fulfill what they say they'll do. I have the blessing of a talent for identifying talent. And I want to start by talking about Sylvia. Sylvia, she'll get up here in a minute, or at least stand. Sylvia is my alter ego. When we started our operations here in Israel, our charity work, I identified Sylvia, who was at that point leading Bizchut, as a tiger, a woman of extraordinary energies, intelligence, and capacity, and with values coincident with my own. And basically, I gave her the freedom to develop a program here in Israel for those who are afflicted with mental illness. And I did this because I have a son who lives in Kishirit, and this is my passion. To have individuals who are essentially forgotten by our society treated with dignity and care. And because of my resources and good fortune, Dylan is in a safe place. And I told Sylvia that I wanted Israel to be a safe place for all those who need to be saved. And she carried forth. And that's how we met with David and how we developed the research program. I can't say that I was exactly neutral. I had my own ideas, and we worked it out. And then when I took this position, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, I knew I wasn't going to be able to attend the executive committee regularly, and there were lots of reasons that I couldn't participate as actively as I might because of the time we spent in the States and other reasons. And so I said, Sylvia, you got to go to Haifa. And she represented me at the executive committee, and she really did stand in
for me in so many ways. So I begin by thanking you. She won't stand up, but they know you. They know you. Sonia, my name Alfred is named after my grandfather. I was born exactly on his birth date. There was an argument between my parents as to what my name would be, not an uncommon problem for the first son. And the deal was if I was born July 1st or thereafter, which was the due date, I'd be named Imre, which is my middle name. Imre was the beloved brother of my father who died in the labor camp during the war. My grandfather died 6 weeks before the liberation of Budapest by the Russians on the steps of the ghetto hospital. And I think by an act of will, my mother delivered me on his birthday. I've written a lot of published works, but I've just completed a mammoth biography, autobiography of my grandfather, my father, and me. I call it Conceived in Stockholm. That's where I was conceived. But it's really a tale of fathers and sons. And I mention this because all of these accolades and all the kindness of the endorsements that have been made this evening basically arise out of a family and a culture and a character where this is just the way it is. My grandfather, whom I'm named after, was an extraordinarily generous man. He became a very successful banker in Weimar, Germany. 1934, he went back to Budapest, started a private bank, and he died penniless. So I am very aware of the blessings that I have enjoyed. And the word generosity is used again and again. I have to tell you, it doesn't feel generous. It just feels that this is what it is to be part of a community, to give what you can, and to support those who need support, and do the right thing. Honest to God, it's no big deal. It's a privilege. When I was told that this evening was going to occur, Karen can testify that I was quite resistant. Just as I was resistant when I was bestowed with an honorary degree, Aaron can tell you that I actually refused. The first time he said, "You can't embarrass me. The faculty senate has endorsed you." I said, "Yes, I can." He comes back. Presidents have this tenacious quality. That's what makes them presidents, among other things. And finally, I decided, after discussing it with those closest to me, that on the Sukkot of the foundation and the charity work that we do in mental health, that I would accept it. I could say a lot more about that. What I really want to say is that I love this university. I love this university because I identify with it. When I was a physician in Boston, I worked at the Boston City Hospital, municipal hospital. We took care of the immigrants the prostitutes, the drug addicts. When I was at Harvard and I told my chief that I was moving down to the municipal hospital, he said, "Why are you going there to practice veterinary medicine?" And I said to him, "Thank you." He said, "What do you mean, thank you?" I said, "Now I know why I'm going." University of Haifa is a very special institution, and I keep talking about excellence. I've been in academics all of my adult life, and I know what excellence is. And there's lots of academic excellence in Israel. There's not enough social excellence. And that, in fact, is what, for me, is the most important. Because we have a mission here that must be fulfilled. Because if we don't do it, who will? And if not now, when? Especially now. Yona and Rivka and I had a conversation last night at dinner. And we talked about this. And what I didn't tell you, Yona, was when Paul and I first made Aliyah, people would say, "Well, why did you do that?" And I would say something really obnoxious. Paula would tell me not to say it, but I'll say it right now again. It's okay. Israel needs liberal American Jews. Guys like me, not like what we have all too many of. Because the liberal American Jews are staying home. So that's what makes me special. I came. I want to be with you. So, I've talked enough. I could talk all night. I love you guys. Thank you very much.
Before we conclude, we wish to acknowledge one more friend, a woman who Fred had just referred to as his alter ego, has been a professional, guiding and caring partner to us. Miss Sylvia Tessler, please accept the gratitude and appreciation. These flowers are a sign of admiration and gratitude. This concludes the formal part of the evening. It was a pleasure and an honor to stand before you this evening and help honor this great man. I've been extremely fortunate to have collaborated with him in my work, and words will never be able to do justice to my feelings of gratitude. Fred, I hope you have enjoyed this special evening. You certainly enjoyed it. Okay. Okay, this is not in the thing, but I'll try to be flexible and spontaneous. Please, Paula.
I was in Jerusalem during the Second Intifada, and I had to catch a plane to get back to Massachusetts. And I was crying, and I called Fred, and I said, "It feels terrible to leave. I don't want to go." And Fred, in the most understanding, gentle way possible, said, "Do not miss the damn plane. I'll fix it." And he did. Israel matters tremendously. What this university represents is the future of Israel. the collaboration and cooperation and shared lives of Arabs and Jews. And that has meant a tremendous amount to both of us. And it's why the university means so much to both of us, as well as, since we're both academic geeks, the incredible intellectual, academic excellence of this jewel of the North. I want to thank Brad, even though he's left already for the airport, because now I can tell Fred, I can stop telling Fred to get off of email and off of the telephone. And Ron, we're just so happy and thrilled at your leadership. I love you and I'm proud of you, Fred.
Well, I didn't know what to expect, but I don't think any of us here expected such a wonderful, touching, and sincere evening. So thank you so much for everyone. Enjoy your dessert and the surprise on the dance floor.